Welcome to the Determined Mom Show, the only marketing podcast dedicated to guiding mom CEOs into tranquility, wealth, and multiplying those precious moments. Welcome to this episode of the Determined Mom Show. I have a very special guest, Dr. Raquel Muller, and she is a very good friend of mine, and we were in a mastermind together recently, and I just absolutely love her, and I love what she does. She is the Mompreneur Success Specialist. So welcome, Dr. Muller.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell us about you. How did you kind of make that transition from the doctoring, which you can tell us what kind of doctor you are in a minute, to, becoming that coach for moms?
Sure. Well, I started out as a psychologist, and in fact, I still am a psychologist licensed in the state of Oregon. And when I started my practice about 4 years ago, it was a general practice, and I just wanted to help people. That's why I went into psychology in the first place. It was family psychology. And not knowing anything about running a successful business, I started to do some research online and started to find resources. And people were talking about niching down. And in that process, I also came across some coaches and consultants that I started to follow. I also began to participate in networking meetings. I was invited by a neighbor to go check out a networking group locally. So I started to get in connection with other women business owners. And so that all really inspired me. And I started to realize that I really love the idea of doing coaching, of helping people to grow, not just recover from trauma or depression or anxiety, but to really thrive and go to the next level. And in fact, the kind of therapy that I was doing is cognitive behavioral. So that really was very similar to coaching, very future oriented. And so it felt like a good fit. And I also discovered that I love to speak. So I started to use speaking as a way to promote my business. So I created a coaching program and the whole thing. So I started right away to promote the coaching services, even as I was doing the therapy practice. And in 2020, I took my big jump. I think the pandemic sort of accelerated that transition for me. And so here I am. Now I'm doing just the coaching and not doing the therapy anymore. And I'm really happy with that decision.
That's awesome. And I know that it created a lot more flexibility in your lifestyle too, because
Yeah.
I've seen you take little trips, here and there and that kind of thing. And just seeing someone, for me, and I think we've talked about this before in our private conversations, but for me, seeing you be able to do that and know that, like, okay, I can just plan a 3-day weekend in somewhere and take the kids somewhere is really inspiring. So
Thank you so much. Yes, I love that. And that's one of the things that really attracted me to coaching, the fact that there is that flexibility. In the first place, when you're a therapist, you can only operate in a certain geographical location, right? Wherever you're licensed, that's where you are, that's where your clients are, and they cannot be other places. And I love the idea of being able to work from anywhere. The fact that I could be on the beach in Hawaii and I could be having a coaching session with someone over Zoom. It's just amazing and fantastic. So that really broadens my opportunity to serve more people and gives me flexibility as well. And I just love, love, love that.
that's awesome. I love it. Well, I love your story. And if you had never attended that networking group, we would not have met, or if you hadn't started networking, because we met through networking. So,
Networking.
yeah. So I'm very happy that you did that. You took that step because then now we know each other.
Yes, it's been a really great fortune to meet you as well, Amanda.
Yeah. So today we're going to be talking about busting the myth of the supermom.
Woohoo!
I'm totally guilty of trying to do all of it, trying to do it all well, falling flat on my face, disappointing my husband, disappointing kids, disappointing myself, disappointing my family, all of those things. So let's talk about it. How can we avoid all of those things? And is being a super mom really possible?
Wow. Well, I like to say, I think that there's something really beautiful about trying to be a super mom, right? Because it speaks to that desire to grow, to improve ourselves, to always do better, to do a great job as a mom. It speaks to the fact that we take that responsibility seriously, right? And that we want to give our kids the very best experience that we possibly can. And so I love that idea as an ideal, right? And it's one of those things, it's like perfection, right? I mean, it encompasses perfection. So perfection is great to aspire to in a way, but at the same time, it's not really attainable and it's not sustainable, especially in the traditional form. And what I mean by that is, I picture the super woman with the cape and the tight fitting outfit that she looks absolutely fantastic in and totally put together. This superhero doesn't need any rest, doesn't need any food or water, is always ready to jump into action and go rescue someone. And the reality is that as human beings, we have limitations, and to respond in that way is just not sustainable over the long term, lest we cause some serious harm to ourselves. And that has happened, right? I'm sure that you've seen it.
Definitely.
I've seen it. We've all heard the cautionary tales about just working yourself so hard, trying to do all the things, and then burning out and crashing. And so I actually created a Facebook community that I call Redefining Supermom. And so the whole idea there is to go from this traditional picture of the superwoman who does it all and does it perfectly, let's not forget, to the kind of super mom that really starts by honoring herself, her own humanness, her needs and desires as a person, who continues to grow herself as an individual. And in doing that is then able to bring even more awesomeness, more goodness to her family, to her work, but in a way that doesn't lead to burnout,
Yeah.
in a way that feels sustainable, in a way that feels fulfilling, in a way that brings you alive. That's really what I mean by redefining supermom. So we can be supermoms in that sense, but we got to start with prioritizing ourselves, our needs, our well-being, our growth.
Mm-hmm. And the thing that you keep saying, the one word that you keep saying that like keeps popping into my head as like a key, like a trigger word, is sustainability. And it's that like every school year, you have this, like, you get the school supplies, you get the clothes, you say, I'm going to get the kids up early so we have a nice relaxing morning, like, and it'll be great. And then something happens the night before, you get crap sleep and you're grumpy when you wake up and the kids are grumpy. And then like everything that you had planned falls away, So that's the sustainability word is kind of one of the hardest things for me, because I'll have like a couple days where I do really good and everything's working well, and then something will happen and it just throws everything off. So can you speak to that unpredictability and the sustainability?
Yeah. Well, so I think sustainability, what I've discovered for myself is that it boils down to having regular, consistent habits and practices that you incorporate into daily life. That is the sustainable, what makes something sustainable. And of course, it takes some work before something becomes a habit, right? So it first requires getting intentional about, okay, so what do I want my experience to be like on a consistent basis? And so, for example, one of the things that I advocate a lot is to have a morning routine where, for me, for example, I wake up at 5-ish in the morning and I'll do my morning ritual, which is some meditation, doing journaling, doing some exercise, doing some affirmations. So these kinds of things really help to get the day started on a good note. And that, for me, that ritual is a non-negotiable. Non-negotiable. And so we all need to have those non-negotiables,
Yeah.
I think, and one of the big things that we saw going on with the pandemic, for example, is that people fell out of their routines. They might have had something going on that was really good and was working, but then when that happened, like things got thrown off. Right?
Yes. The kids
And so
are like
one of
in
the,
school one day and then all of a sudden like they're not going to school for the foreseeable future. And
yeah,
you're like, wait, what, how did that happen? Like, that's not, yeah. Yeah.
exactly. And so it's one of the things then that, the pieces of advice that I gave and that I heard a lot is we need to get back to our routines and our rituals, and we need a structure. Human beings need that. We need structure in order to function and in order to thrive in the best, most efficient way,
Mhm.
right? And that includes our kids,
Yeah.
right? It gives us predictability. And granted, there are definitely times when things pop in, to speak to that unpredictability that happens. Crap happens sometimes, and we cannot control that. However, if most of the time we do have a consistent structure and a consistent set of habits that we practice that lead to that well-being that we're going for, then most of the time we're going to be okay, and we'll be better prepared and better able to handle those unexpected things that come out of left field. In particular, with this morning ritual, right, one of the things is, again, some meditation, gratitude, journaling, and all of these things are things that also help to cultivate inner calm, which is super, super helpful when the shit hits the fan, when things start like popping out of left field. And I always talk about this, right? Like there's chaos, and you can have circumstances, but circumstances don't have to have you. Meaning, all right, so you can go back and ask yourself, okay, what do I need right now? What can I do right now to bring myself back to center? Or what is most important in this moment? As opposed to, oh my gosh, I need to take care of all these things, and it all has to get done now, and I don't know what to do. We all have the freak out moments, but it's bringing yourself back to like, okay, let's calm down, let's take some deep breaths, let's get centered.
Yeah.
Let's come back to gratitude,
Yeah.
right?
That's a big
Let's,
one.
right? Like, and what are the things that are going to help you calm down, to help you get centered, so that you are able to handle those things when they show up?
Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. And I used to have that morning ritual and it was very, very effective when I did it. And then, like you said, the pandemic happened and I'm just now starting to kind of get back to being able to get up early and enjoy that time that I have, those couple hours, few hours before the kids get up and that kind of thing. I've been getting up around 5 now as well for the last week or so. And it just changes, your whole day to have that alone time.
Right? That's what I'm
Mhm.
talking about. So, but I think a lot of moms kind of sell themselves on the idea. Well, first of all, I'm not a morning person, Raquel. I'm not a morning person. I can't wake up at no 5 a.m.
Yeah.
or I don't have time. I don't have 5 minutes to do, anything for myself. What are you talking about? But the reality is for the things that are important, we find the time.
Yes.
We find the time. And yeah, so not everybody's going to be a 5 a.m. person. That's okay. So that's why I tell people, let's start with 15 minutes. Start waking up 15 minutes before you normally do, ideally before everybody else in your household gets up. I read in a book one time, it's a Rachel Hollis book, and she says, if you wake up with your kids, you're already behind the 8 ball. And I totally believe that, right? Like if you're waking up with your kids, you're all like already like in reactive mode, right? Like, okay, let's get up,
Yes.
let's go fix some breakfast, make the lunches, what do we have going on today? So instead of having that calm period where you can just get centered, get grounded, reflect, just be alone, right? Like fill your cup. And that's an analogy that I use a lot as well with my moms. Fill your cup first. That's where everything flows from.
Yeah, it's like the plane and the air mask or whatever it's
And
called.
the
Yeah.
mask, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
And I saw another, I've been using recently this other analogy that I love. And it is, those champagne glass towers that you see sometimes at, fancy parties and whatever, right? Well, where do they start pouring the champagne? From the top.
yep.
And the moms are usually that top glass.
Yes.
And the cool thing is when you fill this glass with this luscious, delicious liquid,
Mm,
then, that liquid starts to overflow and pours over very easily, smoothly, seamlessly into all of the other glasses underneath. And
mhm.
to me, that is just such a beautiful visual of what I want for myself and what I want to see for other moms, right? Like fill yourself up with the most luscious stuff, and then like everything else is going to flow from there and everybody's going to get their fill too, but in a way that doesn't cost you your sanity and your well-being. Like everybody is going to be just full to the brim, and so that's the way that I see it, right? It's like if we're bringing that not only to our families but to everybody that we come into contact with, when we are energized, when we are feeling alive and excited, people feel that shit.
Yes,
Right? So
they
like,
do.
bring it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So, okay, I know we talked about the morning routine, but is there any other, and that's a really, really valuable thing. If you can get up, like Raquel said, just 15 minutes earlier, just 15 minutes. It's not a big deal. And spend 5 minutes meditating, 5 minutes doing something else, 5 minutes, just do the 5-minute chunks.
Yes.
But is there anything else that is like a real game changer in shifting that mindset from like, I need to do it all and I need to do it all perfectly to I can do most of it well and be okay with it?
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, there are several things that come to mind. Stuff that has changed the game for me and for other people that I know. And one of them is self-help books and podcasts such as this one, where you're listening to stories of other people who have, in many cases, gone through some really challenging circumstances and have somehow thrived. They have found ways to live their lives differently in a way that's more, again, sustainable, right? So listening to those stories, it provides that experience of, wow, I'm not alone. And if that person did that, maybe I can do that too. And it provides that inspiration. And I think we all need that. I think the soul needs that inspiration, that encouragement. And
Yes.
certainly, right, that we need to feel connected, which is, of course, one of the things that we've seen in the pandemic is that hunger to be reconnected again. Which reminds me, I actually was on a retreat the other day and I was having a moment where I was processing some things, and this woman was in front of me and she was asking me how I was, and oof, it all came out. And she hugged me. Actually, we just kind of looked at each other like, but I knew,
Yeah.
it just felt like it felt right.
Yeah.
But in that moment of that hug, I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize how much I missed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the
Being
pandemic, it
able
took
to,
everything away.
oh my gosh, right? So it was a beautiful moment. And so again, that connection, that not being alone. So I think, this is part of what I recommend too, is that, getting connected with other women in particular. So other moms, other people who get your experience, who understand the challenges, who understand the journey, and who are also looking to create something positive for themselves, right? If they just want to complain and not do anything about it, you don't want to be around those people. So you need the people that, you know what I mean, they get it and they can offer support and encouragement and provide a role model, provide an example, call you up into being more. of the amazing person that you already are. 'Cause sometimes we need that. Other people can see things in us that we don't necessarily see all the time. So I think it's great to have that external support. And that's where coaching comes in. Coaching for me, it has just exponentially increased my level of awareness, the inner peace that I experience, the clarity that I have about what I'm creating, the vision that I have. So I think coaching is one of those things that could be really, really wonderful. And it's a fantastic way to invest in yourself, invest in your well being, invest in your growth. And we are worth it. I think so many times we just don't see that, or we put our worth on how much we can do for others,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
And so in that experience of coaching, because which has involved some spiritual work, it has been for me realizing that I am worthy regardless of how much I can do, that I am valuable, that I am loved infinitely. And that is what I want other women to also feel, to experience, right? Because to the degree that we experience those things, we give ourselves that, is the more good that we're going to allow into our lives. And again, the more good that we have to give to others, because now we're in a better, stronger position to be able to provide
Yeah.
other people.
It's like laying the foundation for, being able to build that house for other people to come inside of, kind of.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Awesome. I love it. So tell us a little bit about the kind of coaching that you do. I think from, talking to you and just this conversation, I think people can get a really good idea of, what they could expect from you in coaching. But what is kind of the focus of your coaching? You work mainly with mom entrepreneurs.
Correct.
And so tell us about what that coaching involves.
Yes. So really, so I have a 12-step process. And well, first of all, I use a transformation system that I call Woman. It's an acronym, right? So as in woman, wield your belief, right? Belief in yourself, belief in your higher power, universal source that's working with you and in you and through you. There is operating from overflow, as we already discussed. M is for mastering self-love and self-compassion. And the A is for activate your awesomeness. So that is all about, what is your purpose to be here on this planet? What is the thing that gives you meaning? And going for that and having a clear vision about that. And then the N is all about nurturing supportive relationships and enlisting support. And so using that framework, these 12 steps involve 3 pillars. First of all, is all about cultivating well-being and growth. So that entails, your physical, your mental, emotional, spiritual well-being, like nurturing yourself in that way. Again, as you referenced earlier, right? That becomes sort of the foundation upon which everything else is built. And then the next pillar has to do with the harmony between work and family life. And so, we talk about balance, right? And balance is another misnomer,
Yeah, definitely.
right? So I like the word harmony because it suggests that work and life can operate in harmony, right? It doesn't mean that everything is always equal and everything gets in equal amounts of energy and time all the time, but it does mean that you have a sense of, again, harmony. So what that entails is things like mastering your calendar, right? Making sure that the important things get put on there and that you are mastering your calendar as opposed to like other people and circumstances dictating what gets put on your calendar. I
Yes.
think that's really, really key. And it's also about, creating productivity habits. When you're a business owner, obviously the challenge becomes, how do I get my work done and do this business that I love and grow it, excuse me, and also be with my family, right?
Yeah.
So part of that is about what are the habits that you're creating to help you be successful and to help you be productive, so that you're really focusing ideally on the activities that are really going to move the needle. In other words, your money-making activities and the things that are growing your business, and the things also similarly in your family life, the things that are moving the needle there. What brings quality? It's not the amount of time, it's the quality and the energy that you put into it. Because what is it worth, to say, I'm hanging out with my family, but your mind really is somewhere else, right? You're thinking about your work. And so you're not really present. And that's another big buzzword, right? Being present. So the idea is to be present when you're working so that you can maximize that. And then when it's time to be with your family, then be with your family and leave the work over there to the side. Its moment will come. And that comes again to putting the stuff on your calendar. If you know that the stuff is on your calendar, it's like, okay, I understand that I have this and this to get done, but I know that I have a place in my calendar where I'm going to take care of that thing. So I'm going to let it go for now.
I love that.
And so in having boundaries, I think is really important, particularly now when a lot of us are working from home and we have a zillion interruptions sometimes. I've seen that a lot. And so setting boundaries so that your family understands, hey, I'm doing my work right now. This is important. It's not a hobby. This is my company. This is my business. And I need the time and the energy and the focus to be able to do what I need to do here, right? And boundaries also goes to, setting boundaries in relationships with others, so that, again, we're saying yes to the things, the people, the situations, the activities that bring us joy, that bring us fulfillment, that help us to grow, and saying no to the things that drain our energy and that don't really lead us to where we want to go, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And another really big piece that I've incorporated into my coaching is financial literacy, because so many of us really have never been educated, including myself, about finances and how that works. And we've made many mistakes. So, and especially women, we've been excluded from, that conversation a lot. And a lot of times we've excluded ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah,
Like, I don't know
so
anything
true.
about money and finances, right? Like,
Yeah.
let my husband handle that stuff. But I think that we're doing ourselves a disservice when we do that. So part of what I want to do then is empower women about money. And that also involves, of course, you're charging money for your services or products, right? So this is like, you have to be comfortable talking money with customers and, charging what you're worth and all these things, as well as being able to personally like manage all of those pieces and have conversations with your partner about financial decisions and so forth.
Yes.
So that's, the second pillar. And then the third pillar is all about support. So support in the sense of like personal growth. Who are the people that, like a mastermind, right? For example, or having a coach, people that help you to grow personally and in your business as well. And then, what kind of support do you need at home and in your business, so that you can free up time and energy to focus on the things that only you can do.
Right.
That are your genius, right? Like, for example, cleaning. I don't particularly, I do it. I don't particularly love it. And actually, we used to have a cleaner, and then since COVID, we let that go and we haven't brought it back. So now it's time to bring it back. Well, maybe,
definitely.
Yeah, right? Because here's the thing, there's many things that we could do that are not a big deal to do. Of course we could do it. But here's the thing. Here's something that I've learned. If there's something that somebody else can do and do it just as well as you, or perhaps even better,
Mm-hmm.
you ain't got no business doing that thing if you're trying to run a business.
Right. Yep.
Right. And CEOs, we are the CEOs in our homes. We're the CEOs in our businesses as well. And CEOs don't do all the things. No, they don't. They have team. They have people.
Yep.
And then they delegate. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. Fantastic. And they just lead. They are the leaders. And so that is what we want to see it as, is that we are the CEOs, and we need to enlist that support, which includes spouses and children.
Yes.
Very
much so.
Right?
Yeah.
Because too many women insist on like doing all the things, even when there is help available, because they don't want to ask, or they're expecting somebody to say, hey, I'm going to volunteer for that.
Yeah.
Take a break. Like,
No.
how often does that happen? Sometimes
Never.
it does, right? But that's the fantasy, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's, and that is also boundaries, right? Like saying, hey, you know what? I need to take a break. I need some rest. I need some time with my girlfriends, or I need some time to work. I want somebody else to help me over here.
Mm-hmm.
And to claim that, because we are worth that. We are worthy of support.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. Well, it sounds like it is amazing to work with you as a coach. So that is awesome. So where is the best place for people to get in touch with you online?
So I have a website, which is themompreneursuccessspecialist.com. And I was thinking, spell mompreneur, MOMPRENEUR.
Yeah.
Because I keep saying it, but I find that sometimes people go, oh, how do you spell that? That's how you spell that. So the mompreneursuccessspecialist.com. And then I would invite anybody who's interested in following my work and exploring more to check out my Facebook community. It's called Redefining Supermom. And I do weekly trainings in there. I do lots and lots of content around these elements that I shared about. And so that's a really great place for learning more. And of course, to connect with other mom entrepreneurs who are on that journey.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Finding community.
Yes, community.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here with us and sharing all of your wisdom. I've loved every single tip that you have shared today, and I'm going to be trying to work them all back into my system and all of those things. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you posted, but
I'm going to be checking on you.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Thank you so much for being here. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Amanda. It's been a pleasure.
Definitely. Don't forget to join our Facebook group, Mastering Google My Business, to increase your revenue. You can go to facebook.com/groups/learngmb, and you will be able to network with other business owners and learn all about the latest and greatest updates to Google My Business. See you there.